Lisa, are you guys good to go up there?
Yes, we are.
Okay, YouTube set, we're good? Missy, tell me when. Okay, so I'll start this meeting for Tuesday, October 4th. It's straight up 10 o'clock. And we'll start with the call to order. Who's doing the invocation today? Okay. Good morning, Nick. How are you? Sam, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day, and we're thankful that the Board of Supervisors can meet today, and we ask thee to have your Spirit upon them as they think and deliberate and act, and help them to do what is best for the county. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Nick. Okay, so we'll start with 2A under presentations. Public recognition of 9 employees through the county's Spotlight on Employees program as follows. Cindy Roberts, Cassidy Smith, Stephen Armstrong, Nicholas Franco, Guy Peterson, Lori White, Dwayne Dowler, Samson Arney, and Brad Hicks. And Erica, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. As mentioned, we have about 9 employees today to recognize for our Spotlight on Employees. So our first one is actually a group nomination, and I'm going to go ahead and just read that off. So on May 2nd, 2022, Lieutenant Cindy Roberts, Sergeant Cassidy Smith, Officer Stephen Armstrong, Officer Nicholas Franco, Officer Guy Peterson, and Nurse Lori White were instrumental in a life-saving event that occurred in the north tank of a male inmate who fell and was unresponsive. Supervisors and officers arrived to find the inmate without a pulse and life-saving protocols implemented. Fire department, paramedics, and ambulance personnel were called to the scene. Believing the emergency to possibly be a drug overdose, Nurse Lori White administered naloxone in AED, was applied, and CPR started by Officer Armstrong. Once the subject's heart was started and a level of consciousness returned, the inmate was turned over to paramedics and later made a full recovery. A life was saved by professional and well-trained detention staff who were ready to intervene on this person's behalf, preventing a tragic loss. It is with great pride that the Gila County Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award be given to publicly recognize Lieutenant Roberts, Sergeant Smith, and Officers Armstrong, Franco, Peterson, and Nurse White for their dedication to their profession. Lieutenant Cindy Roberts, she has been employed with the county for a little over 16 and a half years. And Cindy, if you wanted to come up here. And if you'd like to say anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Officer Stephen Armstrong, who's been with the county over 4 years. Steve. We have Nicholas Franco, who's been with the county almost 3 years. Okay. We have Guy Peterson, who's been with the county almost 6 years. We also have Nurse Lori White, who's been with the county a little over 2.5 years. Thank you. We also have Sergeant Cassidy Smith, who was unable to be here today, but she has been employed almost 8 years. Our next nomination is for Dwayne Dowler. His nomination read, on April 12th, the Russell Gulch landfill experienced flash flooding due to extreme weather conditions. During the storm, one of our landfill equipment operators, Dwayne Dowler, took initiative and safely escorted all customers and staff out of the landfill during the storm. Later, the landfill road washed out in several places and left a 6-foot by 30-foot hole in one area. The damage that the landfill sustained from the storm could have stranded residents in the landfill for hours if Dwayne hadn't acted quickly. Dwayne's been with Gila County for a little over 6.5 years. And Dwayne? Last but not least is another group nomination for Samson Arney and Brad Hicks. Their nomination read, on April 12th, the Russell Gulch landfill experienced flash flooding due to extreme weather conditions. During the storm, the landfill sustained extensive damage to their roads and other areas. Sam Arney, the landfill supervisor, along with Brad Hicks, the equipment operator, worked throughout the evening to ensure the landfill would open the next morning for Dollar Day. Their dedication and commitment are greatly appreciated as many residents look forward to Dollar Day every month. Samson Arney's been with the county almost 12 years. And Brad Hicks, who's been with the county a little over 3.5 years. Brad? And that does conclude this month's Spotlight on Employees nominations.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey, you got any comments for the group?
Just to thank you all very much for going over and above and to help us with the constituents of Gila County. Just thank you for doing your job and beyond.
Supervisor Christensen?
Yes, thank you. It just reiterates every time we have one of these that shows we have such a great base of employees in Gila County. We're so proud of each and every one of you. Thank you.
And the same goes for me. And Erica, thank you for doing this program. Thank HR, Rick, and all your group down there for that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
You bet.
You got it.
Okay. Moving on to B, 2B, information discussion regarding an update on legislative activity in Washington, D.C. from Gila County's federal lobbyist, Patricia Powers of BOS Public Affairs Group. And James, are you starting this, or is Patty coming on up?
I'll start, or give an introduction.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce Ms. Patty Power with BOS Group that represents us in Washington, D.C. I think this is an essential function that we have in Gila County that keeps a pulse on what is going on in Washington. Patty continually communicates with Gila County staff, letting them know what's going on, the different things that may confront us, and also funding opportunities. With Patty's help, we've been very successful. We're having a indication of that today with the groundbreaking of the Tunnel Creek Bridge that Patty assisted us on in working with getting these federal dollars granted to Gila County for the bridge, and many other projects that she has worked together with us as a team in getting these projects going. So Patty, thank you for coming, being with us, and all your service to Gila County. But appreciate your taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you, Patty. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys too. It's been a long time.
It has.
So I started working with the county in, it was 2006. Supervisor Martin was concerned about living in a sea of gasoline and wanted to do something about it. So it's been a great honor to serve the county citizens and be part of the team, and it's been a lot of great things over the years. So I'm really happy to be here, especially happy to be here to celebrate the bridge groundbreaking this afternoon. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I was just going to run through really quickly some of the stuff that's been going on. I mean, not all of the stuff that's going on in D.C. There's all the good, bad, and the ugly, but there's been some really great things that have happened in the last couple of years, even, during, making it through the pandemic, that has some potential great impacts for Gila County. And I think our challenge is going to be to figure out a way to position the county to take good advantage of all of these things. So I talk with James and Mary and Michael and Steve and Jackie. Once a month, we have a scheduled call. So sort of keep up on all of the current things, but it's been a while since we've had a chat. I've had a chat with the supervisor, so it would be great to keep this rolling now that we can all be in the room together again safely. So COVID is still kind of going on in Washington. Not quite as much in Arizona, so.
Yeah, we're over it.
Yeah. So, just really quickly, so there was the American Rescue Plan Act that passed in 2021, that provided 2 buckets of money that the county is getting directly from the Treasury Department. The first one is the fiscal recovery funds. I think the county was allocated $10.5 million from that pot. You got the first half in 2021 and the second half this year. There's a stack of guidance from the Treasury Department about how to spend those funds. There are 4 buckets that you can dip into for qualifying to spend the funds. The best bucket, because it has the least amount of requirements, is the revenue replacement bucket. But the challenge was the county didn't really qualify for that based on the original Treasury guidance. We provided comments to the Treasury about that guidance and how it didn't work. And eventually, when they redid the guidance, they made they changed the way that was done and allowed jurisdictions to decide if they wanted to opt in to use 10 million of their total FRF funds for that revenue replacement without having to prove that you lost revenue that needed to be replaced. So this was a huge win for the county because then you didn't have to try to fit it into a public health bucket or a broadband wastewater bucket or hazard pay bucket. You could use it on any government, regular government need. So that you've been running that through. James gave me an update last night on the priorities, and it sounds like you're making really good strategic decisions about trying to stretch those funds, spend those funds on the kinds of projects that would otherwise be very difficult to fund federally, like jail construction, which basically you can't do with DOJ funding. So that sort of thing, trying to leverage those funds, maybe use them for matching for other federal grants, so you get the most bang out of the buck for those funds. So that's been, I would chalk that up as a big win for you guys. There was another bucket of money in that bill, and it's for the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund. And Treasury has sat on that for a really long time, and there were all sorts of rumors about what was going on with that. And there was a worry, because for a while there was a big push to try to claw back some of the ARPA funds in Congress. And that was a big $2 billion, big pot of money just sitting there waiting for someone to take and do something else with. But they finally, end of last week, released the allocations and opened the portal to apply for those funds. And the way they formulated the allocations, Gila County has the highest level possible. So it's a total of $12 million. And that will come in 2 tranches as well. So you can, the portal's open, you can apply now for the first tranche. And I need to go back and check. You should be able to apply for the second one pretty quickly because it was supposed to be split between fiscal years. And Saturday was the beginning of the federal fiscal year. So we'll clarify that as well. Those dollars will be like, those are revenue sharing dollars. I mean, it'll work just like PILT. So again, you'll be in a position to be able to spend those dollars in whatever way you as county officials see it's appropriate. So it doesn't have to be tied to a COVID-related impact. So that's, what's that up to now, like 22.5 million? So it's not bad.
And that portal, Patty, is open now for us to apply.
I understand the portal is open, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth with Mary. I think she's on vacation this week, but.
No, she's with us in Payson.
Oh, great, okay, yeah, so it's open,
Good,
so,
good
yeah.
deal.
The next thing that's happened since the last time I've been here to talk to you all was, in a limited way, earmarks were reinstated. We don't call them earmarks anymore because somehow that's gotten, a bad rap, so. But that's what's happening, and so the first round was in fiscal year '22, which just ended. And the county actually requested two and got both of them. One of them is for $609,000 for wildfire prevention. It's actually really suppression, but it's to replace the tanks and whatever work needs to be done to enable the county's ready response system to work, which has been tremendously effective over the years. So that is in process now. It's been a little challenging dealing with the agencies on this. They're kind of figuring this out as they go. Earmarks have been gone before they started back up again for 11 years. So there weren't a lot of people around that knew how it worked. And they're doing these a little differently. They're basically having you apply for a grant. But the grant is going to be given, but you still have to work very directly with the federal agency, where before they would just send you the money, which was better, but that's not what they're going to do now. So there were, and when they reintroduced them, they didn't allow it for everything, so there were very limited numbers of programs. And on this one, I think with the senator's help, kind of put a round peg into a square hole, and we're kind of dealing with the fallout from that. But the only other option was you would have gotten no money. So it's been a little challenging, but the staff in the county has been working through it, and I think it's pretty well resolved. There was also funding in there for the 512 road, to get all the paperwork up to date on that, and whatever construction could start with that money. That was, I think we initially requested $500,000, and then they applied the cost share to that. So the amount of the earmark was $472,000. So for the '23 budget, which has started now, the county requested $3 million for the Young Road to, once all the paperwork is in line to start construction work, finish design and start construction, and that did not make it through the process. The feedback we got is it may have been too big of an ask, and the committee was overwhelmed with requests, many more requests than they could have granted. So if you had gotten something the year before, you were kind of made a lower priority to get something again this year. So that doesn't mean there's any problem with the project or the ask, and we'll do it again next year if there are earmarks again. So we've got our fingers crossed they'll stay in place. It's become very politicized, but I can tell you there are, when the money splits out, there just as much money and numbers of earmarks went to Republican districts and states as did Democratic. So it's not across the board. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. There were two other big bills that passed, billions and billions. So we've moved from like talking about millions to billions. It's kind of mind-boggling sometimes. But the big infrastructure bill passed, the Infrastructure Investments and Jobs Act. I was telling Woody this morning, the White House group that's sort of overseeing all of the different agencies that have pieces of this put together a summary document, and each program is a page of this, and it's over 500 pages. So there's a lot in there. There's a lot of funding. The bill included, and this administration puts a lot of weight on trying to send federal dollars to areas that haven't gotten federal dollars for those kinds of things before. They're also looking to support rural areas, other disadvantaged areas, and make sure they get as good a shot as everybody else at getting this funding. So it's a good time for the county to be looking at those buckets of money and to see where your priorities in infrastructure, whether it's roads or broadband or energy, water, where that will fall in those programs and sort through how to access some of those dollars. A lot of the DOT money and the bulk of the bill is going to the Department of Transportation. Is still formula money, so you need to still keep working with ADOT. And I know Steve and Public Works has a great relationship with ADOT that really helps, but it's better when the money comes straight to you. So the grant writing does take a lot of time and energy, and you don't always get it, but at least when you get it, the money's going to come directly to you. So that'll be worth a more focused, detailed discussion about where might you want to target it, and how to do that. And then we can work with Amy, and then we'll be able to get a lot of support from your delegation as well. They've always been really supportive of those kinds of asks. And similarly on the Inflation Reduction Act, or the reconciliation bill that just passed in August, a lot of that is still being sorted. But again, we're looking at billions of dollars. There was some healthcare dollars in there. There was a bunch of tax language in there that wouldn't necessarily apply. But there are billions of dollars in this bill for climate-related projects issues. There's a couple I just wanted to highlight, but we can take a deeper look at that. And the county is dealing with a lot of impacts from the change in the climate. I mean, the fires are worse. You're getting less rain, sometimes more rain, other times it's just more of a challenge. And you all have been, Tim especially, just really trying to deal with that over the last few years. So there is money in there. There's almost $2 billion specifically for hazard fuels reduction projects in WUIs. But we need to figure out how we can sort of access some of that money, if that money is going to go straight to the Forest Service and they're going to sort it out. But we want to make sure that some of that money comes here and helps. There's also $4 billion for Bureau of Rec, and that's going to be for grants for local and tribal governments. And it's got a number of different uses for that money, but some of it, Arizona is eligible, and it's for restoration projects. So I think that might be another source of other funding. So again, there's so much out there right now. It's going to be really helpful to have the county's priorities laid out, and then we can just go and find out what's the most effective way to try to get federal money. And in some cases, you might want to ask from a number of different places and try to maximize what you get back. The only other thing that I've got on my radar screen, and from what I understand, and Woody, if you were just back, maybe you've got even a later update than I do, is the Forest Service lands bill. So they have not marked up the Natural Resource Committees in both houses haven't really marked up a big bill for that this year. It's not looking like that's probably going to happen.
Probably not, Patty, and we're still working with the Senate on that side of it, on a kind of kicking around the revisionary clause and what that's going to happen. We are real close to elections, and nobody seems to know anything, how that's going to fall out, of course, and so there's a few things involved here that probably put it off until after the first of the year, probably.
Yeah, and that would be considered a really very small focused bill. It's very rare for them to pass on their own. So they get wrapped into a package.
Right.
And I have not heard that they are working on a lands bill package in the resource committees for this year. So I don't think you're not going to miss the boat. And then they don't do it every Congress. So.
Right. And they're kind of thinking one might come up that it might be a chance to attach it to, but we'll see.
Yeah, and that's all dependent on the election.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that will determine lots of things. So that's all I have for you this morning.
Patty, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey, questions?
No questions. I thank you for all you do and for working with staff on helping us with the different available monies. It's just difficult for me to pick where we need money, because in rural Arizona, we need money for everything. We need money for water, for broadband, for roads, for infrastructure. Yeah, we need all of those pots. And so it, difficult for me to say, well, let's spend our focus on one particular pot of funding. And so that's difficult for me, but I'm sure we'll work with staff to figure out, where we're at with our needs going forward and which pots of money to reach for. Because where I'm at is we need all of it, because rural Arizona's, that's what you are. You're rural Arizona, and you don't get to squeak as loud as some of the other communities do. So, but I think
I should clarify, I in no way was saying like you just have to pick broadband.
right.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think there's gonna be a long list,
right.
but, there's so much out there, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not asking you to do that at all.
Yeah,
It's-
okay, well, yeah, that's good, and I appreciate you working with us on helping us and know what's available, because knowing what's available up there helps us in our grant writing, and it's a blessing that now we are caught up with a lot of our financials so that we do have a full-time grant writer, which also helps us, so we appreciate everybody working together, so thank you, Patty.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Patty, for the presentation. And we've already been talking about how we're going to use some of this money, the 10.5 million ARPA money. We've already decided a few projects that we would like to proceed on that. I know Mary Springer, just working this morning on the $12 million for PILT, and she's on vacation. So thank you, Mary, taking time for that. So Gila County exists on its grant money. 60-70% of our budget needs to be grant money. And so the more we can get that way, might even get us to a point where we can relieve some of the property owners' taxes. So the more we get, the better. That's just kind of the message I want to send. Thanks.
Patty, thanks for coming out. It was a good visit this morning too as well, and I appreciate that. And there is a lot of money out there, and I think as a board, we do need to get our thoughts in order and get that going, and maybe that's something me and James can work on here shortly, is put something together like a work session or something to get started with. So there's a lot to think about, and then also for staff, and especially Mary's department, finance, and whoever else. So. But I appreciate your help, and we have a really unique opportunity on these dollars, and so we don't want to miss the boat on any of it. And so I think there needs to definitely be some discussion fairly soon. So, thank you. James, did you have more you want to chime in here about?
No, I think we're good this morning. Thank you,
Okay.
Patty, appreciate it.
Patty, thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you very
again.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, on to 2C, presentation and final report for Summer Youth Work Program 2022. Kathy?
Good morning, Chairman Klein, Supervisor Humphreys, Supervisor Christensen. This is, or let me do that. This is the time of year when we do our final summer work report for you. We'll start off with, okay, Joseph, where am I? Okay, make it work. There we go.
Are we gonna get it up over there as well, or no? Okay, I was just wondering, because if not, I'm gonna change seats.
You gotta turn around, don't you?
Okay, now why am I not, there we go. No? Want to push the arrow to go forward? To the next page? Okay, perfect, perfect. Okay, good morning. Let's go first slide. As you know, we have our annual summer work program, which is funded by Gila County from general fund, and this is where we place kids in each one of the communities within our county. I think we only have one community that doesn't participate, and it might be time to go make a presentation to them. It's been a couple of years. This is the communities that did participate, and we also had 2 school districts The city of Globe, we have 2 workers that are paid for by the city and 2 that are paid by the county. Miami, same thing, although 2 of those workers are paid directly by Supervisor Humphrey from his constituent funds. Town of Payson has always wanted 8 workers, but we have never been able to get up to 8. They want 4 paid by the county, 4 paid by the town, but we've never been able to get there. We keep trying every year, never get there. We will. 6 workers at the town of Hayden, 2 paid by the county and 2 paid by District 3, and 4 paid for by the county. Same thing with Winkleman. This year we had Hayden Winkleman School District kind of come in at the last minute. We'd already done all of our IGAs. They asked if they could have some workers. And Mr. Menla was kind enough to find some funding for me so we could add them in as well. And then Young Public School, we had 1 worker. That probably looks like a lot of kids from one area, Hayden Winkleman, but there's nothing else over there. There are no opportunities for them in that area. We actually had 19 apply, and luckily we were able to give them 19 jobs, so 19 workers. So we were happy to get that done. Next slide. This is where we have them in the county departments that participate. Typically, these are the kind of the same county departments that we work with every year, and they do a really great job with the kids. Next. The basics, the program began June 6th, ran through July 15th. That's a 6-week period. We pay them Arizona state minimum wage, 40 hours a week for 6 weeks. We received 58 applications, and we were able to place 43 of them. We were able to fund an additional 11 workers this year with the help of the county manager's office, finance, and District 2 and 3, which I know that all the kids really appreciate getting those jobs. We hear it all through the summer, and they do a great job. And we're going to continue to focus some recruitment efforts in the Payson area. Actually thinking maybe what we should do is add Payson Unified School District as a work site provider for the kids. So maybe that'll do it because they've got the insight into the kids and where they're at. Next, our process. We do an IGA with each one of our communities and with the school districts to be presented to their board and to their councils. They return those to us, and then we bring them back to you for the chairman's signature. And it's all put in place prior to the first day that the kids go to work. All the applications are submitted to the Gila County Human Resource Department, who really, between Eric and I, all of the work is pretty much done up front. By the time we place the kids, the work is pretty much over because the cities and towns take on the supervision of the kids, and they're their employer for the summer. And that's the other part. In the IGA, the communities pay the workers, and then they get reimbursed at the end of the summer by the county finance department. All the applicants are interviewed that come in. We don't do any sort of sorting through unless maybe it's based on age. We conduct the interviews on site in Payson, Globe, and the Hayden Winkleman area, and in some cases we do it by phone if they've gone on a family trip or just can't make it in. We do it by phone, but everybody gets an interview. The entities all provide their own orientation based on their work site priorities and how they should behave with each other, hours and that kind of thing. All their financial paperwork is done by the different entities. Next slide. I asked this year that they give us, that if they had any outstanding workers, any good stories that we could share. I think next year I'll do that a little bit early so that we could actually have the kids maybe come in like the 4th or 5th week or their last week of work so they can meet you if we have a supervisors meeting that would go along with that. Because I think that would be kind of fun for them. I know a couple of departments bring their kids to the meetings so that they can visit with the supervisors. The town of Miami, their outstanding worker, Jasmine, came in. Miami had had a lot of staff turnover, and she came in and helped she was originally stationed in the finance department, but she not only helped in administration, but she worked over in the senior center. She helped to deliver meals. She dispatched calls for the transit department, that kind of thing. Said she did a really good job. The library district had a part-time worker, Felicity. She was assigned over in Hayden, which that library is only open certain days a week. But she jumped in and helped with all kinds of things, paperwork and learned to operate different office equipment and was very reliable. The landfill, which is not a glorious job, but these guys showed up. I remember them getting special hours because they both play football. But they came in and directed traffic, picked up litter blown around by wind. They showed up on time, and we're very grateful for the jobs that they got. And next. County Health Department, Rosa came in and there was a problem with 14 months of vaccine information that had been lost or had been compromised. And in 2 weeks, she got the whole project completed and brought up to date. And they stated that she did all of her tasks in a timely manner. The auto shop, this young man, I'm not sure how to say his name, Havin, was assigned to the shop, and he was the first to arrive in the morning and the last one to leave at night, and excelled in sandbag project. So we were grateful to him. The town of Hayden usually gets about 6 workers, and they usually request young men, and they do everything with the Public Works Director right alongside of them. They trimmed trees, they helped work on the pool, they read water meters, burials at the cemetery. A couple of the young ladies did working at the senior center. The senior center had an issue this year with some workers that had a couple of personal tragedies, illness, and the young ladies went in and cooked and delivered meals and helped the director with paperwork and that type of thing. Next. This is a picture of our outstanding workers in Winkleman. These 6 young men, they're pictured here with a couple of supervisors. But each year, Winkleman gets 6, well, they try to get 6. This year, they had 6 and last year. But these guys go out and work in the big area, the Winkleman Flats area over there, and it's kind of a big recreation area for the town of Winkleman. And this year, they put up a 500-foot fence in less than 6 weeks. They also painted, I think they painted a ramada. They did a couple of, and this is the type of thing that they do every year. They typically work in the Winkleman Flats area, and they do a really good job. Winkleman does a really good job of taking care of them and instructing them along the way. Okay, next. Next year, our plans, each year we kind of hold an after program meeting and decide what worked this year and what didn't. And we've done a lot of adjusting over the years as far as like what program dates and that kind of thing. We had a midsummer workshop. The first couple of years we did that, but had the program, but COVID hit, so we didn't have it the last couple of years. But I'd like to implement that again next year. Also with soft skills training, we did that too, where we gathered them all together and did a soft skills training class. We'll probably go back to that again next year. I think we might have a new partner with that to help us out. We want to partner again. This is a year that we did not get a YCC crew again. We just didn't get applications for it. I just talked to Lee Galt with the Arizona Conservation Legacy this morning at 9 o'clock. He wants to try one more time. We have some funding still out there with him. So we may try one more time to recruit some crews, both north and south. We have a new contact in the ag teacher here in Globe who thinks that she can help us get that done. We'll be bringing that, I think that agreement expires in November, so we'll be bringing that to you the 1st of November to see if you want to renew that agreement with them. And then, like I said before, possibly involve some more school districts in the program. And maybe Payson Unified School District might be the best bet up there. And I'll take any questions if you have any. It was a good year, no problems, mostly.
Yeah. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions other than just thank you, thank you, thank you. I can remember 6 years ago when I came on, they had like 2 summer employees. And so I remember getting with staff and saying, what can we do? What do we have to do for workers' comp, liability insurance? What do we have to do for our youth? And I want to thank you very much, and Supervisor Klein for once that ball got to rolling, for taking that role over and going from 2 to 32. Mm-hmm. and in different fields and getting the cities and towns involved. And I just think it's a great program and a great investment into our youth and future employees. They work with us for 2 or 3 years in a particular department. I'm not going to mention any names, but I know of some sitting in our room today that have had multiple years with the county, but it started as a youth employee. And so God bless them. And so hopefully that will continue with our youth and to teach them work ethics and to make them like putting up a fence in their community. What self-worth does that give those boys to have done that and drive by and see it and motivate them to continue wanting to do so? Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Kathy.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of upfront work, but once it gets going, it's,
You know, and then like you say, you know, maybe we could have a separate meeting or lunch or something that we can attend with the kids and, you know, ask them what from their opinion, how could we better our program or what could, you know, create more interest for our program. So, thank you very much.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Kathy. It's a great program, and it sounds like a great group of young people.
They are, every year, they're just, when you interview them, it'd be fun sometime if you could sit in on it in your areas, because it's a lot of fun when they go through the interview process. Some of the poise and some of the answers we get are pretty neat.
It is great, and I did notice for the first time that some of the funding was provided by the supervisors, and with me being the exception, so I didn't know that was something that was being done. So next year, if there's a way that I can help with that, I would be happy to.
And typically, I haven't asked you that just because we haven't had that much of a response in Payson.
Yeah.
So if we get more, that would be a great opportunity.
Yep.
I will
I'd be-
ask you.
I'd be happy to contribute, so,
Okay,
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
She's not bashful, Steve. She'll be after you for that. She'll
okay.
remember too, so.
Yeah.
So, it is a very good program. It really is. And through the years, there's been kids that we've had, that these ladies have placed in the positions that held their interest, you know, whether it's a health department or the shop or whatever it is. So hopefully those kids have went on to trade school, college, or whatever it is to further their education. So, but it has been a really good thing for the county, all across the county. And hopefully we will be able to keep it up and keep it going. And maybe somewhere along the way, this is something we need to discuss as a group too, and look at different ways we could maybe expand the program. And then go from there. So, anyway, thank you, Kathy.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank you.
it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to number 3, public hearings. 3A, information, discussion, action to consider a liquor license application, county number LL2206, submitted by Amy Shea Wills for the transfer of a Series 6 bar license at the Antlers Cafe and Bar, 46788 South Highway 288 in Young, and issue a recommendation to the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control whether the license should be granted. Missy?
Thank you, Chairman and members. The notice of hearing before the board and the application was posted by the Gila County Sheriff's Deputy on September 1st and was removed on September 23rd. The affidavit of posting was filed with the clerk's office, and an interview review was conducted by the Planning and Zoning Department, the Health and Emergency Management Department, and the Treasurer's Office. No responses were received at the clerk's office during that time period that it was posted. And all the departments gave us a clear reading for that. So we see no reason that the board should have a recommendation of an approval for the DLLC to grant Amy Shea Wills' recommendation of approval for the DLLC.
Thank you, Missy. Any questions or comments, Supervisor Humphrey, for Missy?
I have none.
Supervisor Christensen?
No, sir.
So with that, I'll open the public hearing part of it. Do we have anyone in Payson, Lisa?
No, sir.
Do we have anyone on YouTube? And I don't believe we have anyone here. So with that, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to recommend that the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control approve the liquor license application submitted by Amy Shea Wills for the Antlers Cafe and Bar.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Number 4, regular agenda items. 4A, information, discussion, action to approve a funding agreement between Gila County Community Services and New Directions, whereby the county will provide funding in the amount of $25,000 to New Directions to be paid in the fiscal year 2023, which will help provide services to the homeless in Gila County. And Jackie, good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members. New Directions is a local nonprofit organization formerly known as the Payson Warming Center, and it offers services for the Payson Homeless and Homeless Veterans Initiative program. New Directions has been operating since 2019. The organization aims to replace homelessness with hope, and they offer food, clothing, showers, support services, a place to sleep. Volunteers assist with food prep, light cleaning, transportation, laundry, pet care. They serve between 250 and 350 meals and help approximately 35 individuals daily. The Community Services Department receives funds from not CDBG, but CSBG. Part of the Community Services Block Grant funding is to support and promote community initiatives. So if the board approves this, the Gila County Community Services will be giving $25,000 in fiscal '23 to include funds for administration and infrastructure to better help local homeless, including veterans in the Payson area. And I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Jackie. Supervisor Humphrey?
Yeah, is this I guess a permanent facility? Do they have like a building, or is it held at a church or a Salvation Army building, or?
So at the present time, the services are provided through a local church that has a building that they allow this program to operate in. Part of New Directions in the past has been talking about finding a permanent structure. But at the present time, they're serving the population at a local church in Payson.
Thank you, yeah, because I've had people ask about here, and it's like, building and this and that, so that answered a lot of questions for me. Thank you.
You bet.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Jackie. I'm very familiar with the project, and they've been operating for several years on a shoestring. They rely a lot on donations, really. There's no money-making part. But they're much more than just helping homeless or homeless veterans. They're not really a homeless shelter, per se. They help people that are in transitional situations where they're on the verge of becoming homeless or they're just struggling. So they do a multitude of good. I will say that I am on the board of directors, so I will refer to Jeff Dalton on this as far as whether it would be a conflict for me to vote up or down on this item.
Do you get paid?
I'm sorry.
Do you get paid for being on the board of directors?
I wish I did. I do not.
I don't think you have a conflict then. It's a remote, it's called a remote interest, one that doesn't qualify as a conflict of interest.
I would not be receiving any benefit
No-
from this
no
vote. So.
Pecuniary or proprietary interest is not affected by anything you vote
Okay.
for.
Thank you, Jeff. That's all.
I don't really have any questions on this. I'm just kind of curious. Do we have anything set up on this end, like the warming center in Payson, or is it still kind of haphazard and?
Mr. Chair, my understanding is that the services provided in this community look different than the services provided in the Payson community. The Payson community, my understanding is it started out as a warming center because it gets cold up there.
It does.
A whole lot colder than it does here. And so they have, each community and each collection of nonprofits have sort of designed their own services based around what they see and what the community sees as the need. So there is no exact match.
Right.
Although there is assistance for transitional or homeless prevention. There are other services here, but not a homeless center.
So I would imagine that Melissa's group works pretty closely with the warming center in Payson, especially for the transitional people.
Melissa's Community Services Program,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jackie. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a funding agreement between Gila County Community Services and New Directions in the amount of $25,000
I will second that, Mr.
in the
Chairman.
fiscal year of 2023.
Sorry. I did not mean to interrupt.
Is that second still
I
good?
will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. On to
Thank you.
4B, information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 1 to an independent contractor agreement, contract number 07012022-23, between Arizona Community Action Association doing business as Wildfire and the Gila County Community Services Department Community Action Program, whereby Wildfire will administer Southwest Gas Low Income Energy Conservation SWG-LIEC funds in the amount of $10,640 from a fiscal year to a calendar year. Jackie, you're it again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. So the contract has been in existence for about 14 years, where Community Services, Community Action Program, and what used to be called Arizona Community Action Association, but they do business as Wildfire, administer Southwest Gas low-income energy conservation funds to help provide services and partner up and provide supplemental funding to residents that are struggling to make their ends meet around their Southwest Gas and other utilities. This particular contract amendment does a couple of things. It increases the amount of funds from $5,640 to $10,640 for the Southwest Gas piece of this. And it changes up a little bit how much can be used for program delivery from direct services, so it increases the administration costs that community services benefits from, and it changes this piece of the contract from a calendar year to a fiscal year, so the funds have to be from a fiscal year to a calendar year. So the original contract was July 1 through June 30. This amendment changes it from July 1 to December 30. They're moving to a calendar year. And I'll answer any questions.
Supervisor Humphrey, questions or comments?
I have no questions, no comments.
Supervisor Christensen?
No, sir.
I think I'm good.
Okay.
I have questions, but I'll visit with Melissa down the road somewhere along the way, but I'm good. Thank you, Jackie.
You bet, thank you.
With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve amendment number 1 to an independent contractor agreement, contract number 07012022-23 in the amount of $10,640.
Mr. Chair, I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. 4C, information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 2 to an intergovernmental agreement, contract number CTR 055209 with the Arizona Department of Health Services for the sum of $204,367 to June 30th, 2026, to enhance the deliverables in the grant-related activities noted in Amendment 1, Number 1. Paula, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Glad to be here today. And I just kind of wanted to give you a little update on this one. This is our FEP, Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant. And what this particular amendment is doing is it's allowing us to they explained the deliverables that we have to give to the state. They gave us an exhibit that talks about what's due, when it's due, the participation that we have already been doing, and the dates that it's due. So Gila County is already on top of all of this, so I commend the FEP group for doing that, but I guess other people didn't really know. So we're always ahead of the curve on some of these things, and I appreciate the staff for taking the initiative to be ahead of the curve. They are part of the Arizona Coalition for Healthcare Emergency Response across the state. And we've been a part of that probably for the last 10 years, I think, that we've been part of AZ Chair. And also to share our core plans with emergency response. And I'll have to give Michael a little credit on this because we all kind of included emergency response, our FEP and emergency response together, and they work side by side with most of the plans. And a lot of them are things that go together. So it just made sense to sort of move them together in cooperation, working with those emergency response plans for the county and for any of our public health emergencies. So that's pretty much something that we have been doing for quite a while with the emergency operations plan. We do already provide after-action reports. I guess this is something that hasn't been done, but this is something we have done continually to see what our strengths and our weaknesses are during the response. And they just formalized it in this to make sure that everybody knows when they're due and to submit them to the state. So today, they're actually doing some of what's in the actual exhibit, which is providing training and education to our partners. And the FEP group is today out at the fairgrounds doing a training for PPE for measures for biological events. So it's a great opportunity for a lot of our first responders and for public health to go out, and they're doing it through the Department of Emergency Management. So we are asking that you go ahead and approve the amendment number 2 to the intergovernmental agreement with the Arizona Department of Health Services in the amount of $204,367. And I'll entertain any questions that you have.
Thank you, Paula. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions. It's just, hats off to Health and Emergency Services for all that they reach for and the amounts of money that they reach for and have been blessed with to help the community. It's just great. And, like you say, you're constantly working to be more efficient, and I can't say enough about how much that's appreciated and what you've all been able to do for the constituents.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Yeah.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Paula. We're so proud of the Health and Emergency Services Department with Gila County. You guys really led the way through COVID, and I know Michael was a part of that. He's now moved on, and it looks like we still have just a very solid department, and it's just really special. So thank you, Paula, and thank everyone involved.
Thank you, Supervisor. Appreciate that.
I'm good, Paula. Thanks for everything you guys have done.
Thanks.
With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 2 in the intergovernmental agreement contract number CTR 055209 with the Arizona Department of Health Services for the amount of $204,367.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. 4D, information, discussion, action to approve an intergovernmental agreement, contract number CTR 060581 with the Arizona Department of Health Services in the amount of $95,045 to provide immunizations to June 30th, 2027. Paula?
All right, thank you, Chairman. Again, Supervisors. So this is our immunization contract that we get every year. They have changed the contract number, I think, just to confuse all of us, but it's okay. We're working with the new system, and it will allow our immunization team to provide childhood immunizations. We do get fee-for-service on some of those immunizations that we provide for children based on the CDC schedule, and we also want to protect our children from vaccine-preventable diseases. And the team is looking forward to going into the schools and providing flu shots throughout the county. We actually are really excited about increasing that to the Payson area. The Payson schools have been we haven't gone into the schools in Payson. They've come into the office, but this year they've decided that they would like a flu clinic out in the Payson area. So we're excited to do that. We have a really good team to go out and provide these immunizations to anyone who either has insurance or has no insurance, because this grant will help support that. So I ask that you approve this grant so that we can go forward providing those services.
Thank you, Paula. Supervisor Humphrey?
Again, thank you very much.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you. No questions.
Okay,
I'm good. Good deal. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve an intergovernmental agreement, contract number CTR 060581 with the Arizona Department of Health Services in the amount of $95,045.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. 4E, information discussion action to approve amendment number 6 to an intergovernmental agreement, contract number CTR 043241 with the Arizona Department of Health Services to continue to provide women, infant, and child WIC nutrition services and breastfeeding support from October 1st, 2022 to September 30th, 2023. Paula?
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. This one's a little bit different. I would like to ask that we place the amount for this grant. Missy, if we can do that, of the $221,792. If you would please place that in the action. I did want to talk a little bit about this because this is a reduction in our WIC.
Can
Okay,
you
sure.
give us that figure
Oh,
again,
sure.
Paula, please?
$221,792.
792. We got that?
All
Thank
right,
you, Paula.
Great. But I did want to talk about, because it is a reduction, and I know a lot of times we don't really want to talk about reductions. However, with WIC, both nationally and in Arizona, the WIC caseload has been declining. And so we also in Gila County have been declining. One of those reasons for the reduction is the number of births. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little information. From 2009, our births in Gila County were 704, and in 2020, they're 470. So that kind of gives you a reason why, we don't have as many babies in Gila County, and I think they're seeing that across the nation. So I just kind of wanted to give you that information about why there was a reduction. We also can ask for an amendment. So if we're reaching over our caseload number, which our caseload back in the day when I started was 1,200 a month. And they've reduced us to 800 a month, which is, we're around 850 going for the last 3 months. So we're working towards getting it up to 900, maybe 1,000, and we can ask for an amendment to get additional funding. We did not have to do any staff cuts or any of that, so I feel pretty confident that the staff can actually, we're doing a lot more in social media to try to reach out to get those moms. I know during 2020, there was a lot of pandemic EBT that was provided to families and a lot of stimulus money, and so I don't know if that was the reason that there was a decline with the WIC services. We're still virtual, and I'll tell you, the young mothers do appreciate the virtual. We do FaceTime or visits whenever they need them, so it's very convenient. They do have to come into the office if they're not able to go into their doctor's offices for things like weighing their children or checking their iron levels. But it has been a benefit to kind of go with that hybrid for the next generation. If you know what I'm talking about, they're all on their phones. So it has been beneficial, and I think hopefully we will get up to coming back to you and asking for additional, for an approval for an additional amendment. So I would ask that you approve this amendment so that we can continue to provide those services.
Thank
Have
you,
any
Paula.
questions?
Supervisor Humphrey?
Yeah, no, again, just thank you, and it's amazing because people wonder where their tax dollars go and where some of their efforts go, and just, listening to you today on what you're doing for the constituents of Gila County, that they need to know more about the programs that you run and how you run them, and what a blessing it is to have you, so
Thank you, Supervisor.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Paula. I have no
Thank you.
questions.
I'm good, Paula, thanks. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 6 to an intergovernmental agreement contract number CTR 043241 with the Arizona Department of Health Services for $221,792.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Paula.
Thank you very much.
4F, information, discussion, action to ratify the Board of Supervisors' approval for the U.S. Department of Transportation first amended and restated grant agreement under the fiscal year 2020 Build Transportation Grants Program, Build Grant, to receive an additional $250,000 in grant funding. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. Back in March, the U.S. Department of Transportation notified us that they had additional build grant funds from the 2020 build cycle, and that successful applicants of a build grant were encouraged to apply if they needed additional funding. At which time we did. We were notified in September that we had received $250,000. We were also told we had to have the agreement signed within about 2 weeks of the notification if we wanted the money. So I talked to county management. They recommended going directly to you, the chairman, to sign the agreement, which you did, and now we're here to ratify the signature.
Thank you, Steve. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no comment.
Supervisor Christensen?
No comment.
So this money, Steve, is gonna be used where? At the bridge?
On the bridge, yes.
Okay.
It'll just go into the pot with the rest of the money.
Okay, thanks. With that, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to ratify the Board of Supervisors' approval of the U.S. Department of Transportation's first amended and restated grant agreement under the fiscal year 2020 Build Transportation Grant Program, also known as Build Grant, to receive an additional $250,000 in grant funding.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. 4G, information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 2210-01 to enter into intergovernmental agreement number 2200873-1-I-A. Contract number P0012022001370 for a highway safety improvement project, HSIP, on the control road. Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. In 2019, ADOT did a call for projects for the HSIP program. We submitted 2 applications, one for the control road, one for the Houston Mesa Road. Both of those were successful. The control road is to put some curve warning signs on rumble strips and extend paving on the, working from the east end, the end of the pavement past Tonto Village for almost 2 miles. It'll be a double chip seal. And this is to sign the agreement to start the process for the design. ADOT will select the designer and pretty much do the complete project. We'll be involved as it goes, but ADOT will administer.
Thank you, Steve. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions or comments.
Supervisor Christensen.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Yeah, we need this, so thank you very much.
And I'm good, Steve. So with that, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 22-10-01.
Second.
Having a motion and second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. 4G.
Thank you.
Hey, I think you got one. No, you're good. Thank you, Steve. Yeah. 4H, information, discussion, action to review all bids submitted for request for proposals number 062222, security for Globe and Payson Courthouse and Tommy C. Martin Complex. Award to the lowest, most responsive, responsible, and qualified bidder, and authorize the chairman's signature on the award. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Board. So this is to approve the awarded contract, or the contract that was coming in at the lowest bid for security at Globe location and our Payson location. It does include the Tommy Martin complex, and that's just, we took your guidance from when we first came to the board, and that guidance was not to have someone there full-time. So we do have it in the contract so that it's in their system. That way we can have security there as needed. With that, I'd like to take any questions.
Thank you, Joseph. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions, or comments. I guess just one question, and the reason being is because I've been asked about the security. But for the courts, it's required by the state that we have our courts secured. Is that correct?
From my understanding, that is correct.
Okay, yeah, so it's not us doing it, it's a state required, so. Thank you.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Joseph. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I am too, Joseph. Thank you. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll move to award a contract to CBI Security Systems in the amount of $256,025 in response to request for proposals number 062222.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. All right, 4I, information, discussion, action to approve Mojave contract number 190-BANG, B-A-N-G, -0221 with Dave Bang and Associates in the amount of $55,798.56 for the purchase and installation of playground equipment at the Pleasant Valley Veterans Retreat. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. So after a quick discussion with the county manager, James Menlove, I would like to table this item for further discussion with the county administration and get back to the board as soon as possible with an update, if I may.
I'm thinking about it. You get Supervisor Humphrey Christensen?
If you feel it's necessary.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I may make a comment. I believe that certain things with Veterans Retreat, that is the county's responsibility and things that we can go and get contributions. So this $56,000, I believe, is a misuse of our public funds in that we can, this is one thing that we should be able to go out for contributions from various veterans organizations, that we can go and not have to use tax dollars to be able to fund something as this, that we're allocating dollars for the infrastructure, for the facilities, the buildings, something that's a programming or something that's will enhance the experience of the veterans location, that is something that we, through the nonprofit that is being set up, can receive contributions from various organizations that will support this. And that's what has typically been done for other veterans sites. They exist largely on contributions to a nonprofit to be able to run and operate this type of facility. So I would like to invest our dollars in rehabilitating. Those bids have come in, and we're ready to award those for painting and flooring and all those kinds of things to get our house in order as far as facilities, and then we can work on the programming. So this is what my direction has been since the very beginning, and we're jumping the gun here.
So, question I would have for both of you is, this is something that can be pursued from a donation standpoint in line with what we're doing on the site, starting now, basically, right? I mean, we can solicit sponsors or whatever for something like this, correct?
We may need to have the nonprofit formally organized so that contributions can be made, IRS tax deduction purposes. So certainly we can start looking around for contributions. We need to have it formalized with the nonprofit established for the Veterans Retreat in order to make it tax beneficial for organization, entities, and individuals to make contributions to the Veterans Retreat.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct, and I believe Kathy has made a lot of progress in that.
She has, and it's getting close.
Okay. So with that,
That's my reason.
okay. That could be a discussion later in the week, James, but okay.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with tabling it. I need a motion, though.
Okay, you'll get a motion. I just also want to ask, not only that, you mentioned misuse of funds, but getting into another can of worms is once there's one established there, Then we have the insurance and the liability and the responsibility of the playground, because I've investigated that with the fairgrounds as well, which opened up a can of worms of then we need a full-time employee and yada, 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 yada. So, you know, if we're tabling this to look at a bigger picture of not only the funding of it, but the responsibility of having it and what's expected of us and what's our liability of it going forward. And I just bring that up because I got into that can of worms with the fairgrounds. And so that, I just wanted to add 2 cents of maybe let's look at the whole picture when we table this to bring it back.
Mr. Chairman, for whatever reason, I'm surprised by this being on here today and missed it in my review of the agenda. And that is one thing I have not had a chance to look at, is the liability and insurance implications of providing playground equipment.
Okay,
So, thank you for
I'll be
that.
happy to table it.
Do you have any questions or comments?
I do not, thank you.
I got more. So, it doesn't matter what we do from day to day, there's liabilities in it. I mean, that's just the world we live in. I don't consider 55,000, in my opinion, a misuse of dollars at all. I just want to put that out there. I do recognize that there's ways we could go about getting it donated or some other sponsor come into this. But whether it's the fairgrounds, whether it's the site in PV, or whether it's the complex in Payson, we're surrounded by liabilities. And so I think there's just different ways of going about the funding part of it. But absolutely, 100%, make no mistakes, I do not consider it a misuse of dollars.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with that. I do think we need to explore the options of alternative funding.
And I think that's fair.
Absolutely, it's something that is for public purpose, so is not a misuse. I misspoke, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, James. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to table this.
Mr. Chair, I move to table item 4I.
Second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to 4J, information, discussion, action to approve intergovernmental agreement with the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community for grant funds in the amount of $36,565.88 to be distributed to the Hell's Gate Fire District to purchase communication equipment for frontline vehicles. Mary and Maury.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. And good morning, Maury. And seeing that Maury is in Globe today, in person, I'm going to turn the time over to him.
Thank you, Mary. Good morning, Maury. Go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you very much. First, if I could, I would like to give a couple of quick thanks to some employees for the Gila County. First off, I'd like to mention Wayne Jones, who works for our roads department. He's been very instrumental in keeping our roads open and somewhat safe so that we're not ruining our apparatus going down the road. And I was glad to hear about the control road because we travel down that on a regular basis. So we're glad to hear that. Also like to thank Mary for her work that she's been with me for the last 2 years. I'm sorry to hear that she's going to be leaving us soon. I hope to hear that we're going to be able to get somebody just as good as Mary. So on that, yes, we did. I will let you know that we were successful in this grant with the Salt River Indian Community. And it is an interesting grant because it's not we just apply and get it. We have to be invited to apply with the Salt River Indian Community. And so we've been working with them since January on this. We were informed late last month, right after our last board meeting, that we were successful in getting that. So we were very happy. You see the amount of $36,565.88. Just a quick note on that. These are 5,000 channel capable radios that they are wildland approved so that they can be cloned if we go to a wildland deployment. This, along with the Gila River Indian grant that we have that's been approved for, will give us 12 radios, and mobile radios, and then 12 portables. One of the things that I would like to mention is on Saturday, I had the opportunity to be at Thompson Draw 2 off the control road by Tano Village. I was presenting to the citizens there, and I had a sergeant from the Gila County Sheriff's Department was there as well to present. During that time period, he was trying to listen to his radio and had some garbled communication saying that they had a traumatic brain injury didn't know where it was at, and so he had to leave to go to his vehicle to be able to get information. Come to find out, there was a gentleman that rode his motorcycle, probably another 4 or 5 miles down on the control road. He ran into a tree, had multiple systems trauma. With this radio system that we're getting, and I will let you know that I mentioned, I think last month on a community, or a federal agency called the Cyber Intelligence and Infrastructure Security Agency. They came in earlier this year and they've done an expansive needs analysis and gap analysis for Northern Gila County. They are coming in on November 8th to make that presentation with us. So with the radios that we are getting, should be interoperable, and hopefully with funding that we can get from the federal government, we can make Northern Gila County a lot safer for our first responders, both fire, police, and EMS. So with that, I would entertain any questions.
Thank you, Maury. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions. I just think it's a great program, and we're glad to be working with it, with you.
Supervisor Christensen.
Yes, thank you, Chief. Anytime we can improve public safety and upgrades with communication and other items, it's a great thing, especially if we can get grants for it. Thank you.
Good job, Maury. Thank you. Appreciate it. That I'd entertain a motion.
So, Mr. Chairman, I will move to approve an intergovernmental agreement with the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community in the amount of $36,565.88 to be distributed to the Hells Gate Fire Department.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. On to 4K, information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 22-10-02 in support of a gaming grant application to be awarded in the amount of $25,195.02 from the Tohono O'odham Nation to Hells Gate Fire District to purchase 3 new radio intercom systems for emergency response vehicles. Maury?
Thank you again. Appreciate the opportunity. This is the last part of the project of our radio communication system. This is the Tohono O'odham Nation. It's the first time that we've applied to them. They were very gracious in being able to award this to us. We received a response last week, and so Mary is able to put this in quickly for resolution, and we appreciate this. What this will be is that we have our ladder truck, our engine, and one of our brush trucks that we're able to put the headsets on, so our communication between engineer, captain, and the dispatch center will be more clear. That way we can communicate with each other intercom-wise and then be able to have clearer communications. But this is in conjunction with the 2 other grants that we've been able to get.
Thank you, Maury. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no question.
Supervisor Christensen.
No questions, thank you.
And I'm good as well. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 22-10-02.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Maury.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next month. No, I'm joking.
4L, information, discussion, action to rescind resolution number 18-04-03, adopt resolution number 22-10-03, adopt resolution number 22-10-04, adopt resolution number 22-10-05, grant quitclaim deed to Rivers Edge Payson LLC, and grant quitclaim deed to Harry and Sherry Farrell, all to comply with the settlement agreement that was executed on September 6, 2022, to settle litigation of Rivers Edge Payson LLC versus Gila County, Maricopa County Superior Court Case Number CV 2021-016013. Jeff.
Morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning.
Board. We thought this would be the day when all those documents would be executed to finalize the settlement agreement. However, there's been a problem arise. The attorney from Rivers Edge has been in contact with us this morning, and they disagree with the
legal description in a couple of those deeds and a map. And we would like to ask the board to table this for perhaps the next meeting, if we can get it done by then, we can sit down and we can reach an agreement on the changes that need to be made in the legal descriptions so that we're all in agreement before the documents are executed.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to table this agenda.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, then I will move to table item 4L at this time.
Mr. Chair, with the advice of our attorney, I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. See you in a meeting or two.
Thank you.
All right, 4M, information, discussion, action to provide the results of a public surplus online auction for those properties that sold during the August 2022 sale, and to request authorization for the chairman to sign related quitclaim deeds to finalize the sale of 23 deeds listed in the staff report as presented. Missy?
Thank you, Chairman, board members. Okay, on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, Public Surplus, we held an online auction from August 1st through August 14th to sell 30 properties. Of those 30 properties listed, we sold 23. And let's see here. So basically, we had, during the public auction, we had a lien amount of those 23 properties was $63,565.89 was the total lien amount of those collected properties. The sold amount of the properties ended up being $75,677.02 of all the properties that were deeded to the state of Arizona, and the profit above the lien amount was $12,111.13 that was collected. So part of the internal process of that sale of the auction properties is to submit quitclaim deeds to the Board of Supervisors with a request for the board chairman to sign them, which will finalize the sale of the properties. And that's what I'm requesting today, and $30 was collected from each of those property purchasers for the recording fees as well.
Thank you, Missy. Supervisor Humphrey, questions?
I have no question, just comment. Thank you. It's great to see these properties find owners and get back on our rolls, and I appreciate all the work that you do to make that happen. And it's just really nice when we're able to do this. And the only other comment is, Supervisor Klein, you're welcome to borrow my pen because you're liable to run out of ink in
think I
yours
will
today
today.
after this meeting.
Yeah. Supervisor Christensen.
Yeah, ditto to that. Thank you, Melissa.
The only thing that I would really like to say is that if you could notice the chart, a lot of the properties that sold were in the Hayden-Winkleman area. I got tons of calls in that area of the people that were purchased that area were so excited to be moving into the area and to repurpose the area. And a lot of them didn't, they sold for basically the lien amount, which was great. I am just really happy to see a lot of people moving back into the area. So I'm hoping that we can get some turnaround in the area.
So thank you, Missy, and I really like the way we've been selling these and getting them back on tax rolls. That's been a huge, huge plus to the county.
And not only that too, but a lot of times that state property is blighted or overgrown or things of that
Yes.
nature. And we're limited to what we can do with these properties as far as cleaning up the neighborhood. So by these properties finding owners, then now that they are liable, and great that they want to fix these places up, but it's great for the neighborhood because of, there's 23 properties that haven't had any attention. So you can imagine what they look like. So now they're gonna shape up, and that's a great thing for the communities.
It really is. So I have a question for Jeff. So when we sell these properties and they go over the lien amount, Jeff, that extra money that's made, is there any issues with that, or are we good?
So the question is if they're sold for more than a lien amount, then who gets the excess proceeds?
Mm-hmm.
And we've been researching that. Don't know, don't have a final answer on it. The only two counties that have responded, or attorneys from the counties have said they give the money back to the original owner of the property. But that's all we have so far. And the statute certainly doesn't seem to read that way, so it's up in the air at this point.
So going forward, unless something drastically changes, we can figure we're just gonna go about and selling these properties like we've always done.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have an answer for you before you have excess proceeds again. I think all these properties just sold for tax amounts, so, is that correct?
No?
No.
You got a little bit more
Yeah, about $12,000.
excess?
Yeah.
We need an answer.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd entertain a motion.
Yeah, I move to authorize the chairman to sign the related quitclaim deeds to finalize the sale of 23 deeds as presented.
And I will second that.
Having a motion and second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Missy. Consent agenda action items, 5A through 5H. Is there anything on here that either one of you would like to address separately?
I'm good.
I'm good.
And I don't have anything as well, so I'd entertain a motion.
I will move to approve consent agenda items 5A through 5H.
I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Number 6, call to the public. Lisa, do we have any call to the public?
No, sir.
Do we on YouTube? And we don't hear either, so we're good. On to 7, anytime during this meeting, ARS 38431.02K. We give our updates. James, do you have an update for us?
Couple things, Mr. Chairman. I would just want to express appreciation to all the partners that we've had in conjunction with the Tonto Creek Bridge groundbreaking that we have today. There's a lot of people, a lot of players that were a part of this and very much appreciate all those, the time and commitment that it has been. It's been over a decade that this has been in the works, and it's a thrilling thing. I wanted to make that statement in here in this forum to the public that a lot of people contributed to this, and I express appreciation to everybody that has had a part in making this a success. Secondly, that the County Supervisors Association later in this week that you're all aware of are having our legislative summit where we'll be discussing our priorities as counties with the Arizona State Legislature later in this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Look forward to that and having that conversations we have with all the other counties to be able to set our priorities as counties for the state. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, James. Supervisor Humphrey.
Met with Town of Miami Manager Alexis Rivera and James Minlove on some Miami issues. It's nice to have the relationship with Globe and Miami both that I do with the mayors and managers. Attended a Greenback Valley Ranch 150 anniversary celebration. Beautiful place, a lot of history. I will attend the Tonto Bridge groundbreaking later today, and I will attend the CSA Legislation Summit this week as well. I don't believe that we have anything on the list this year, but it'll be good to participate in what is on the list. And so that's all I have.
Thank you, Tim. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll add to the fact that I also was at the Greenback Valley area at the Conway Ranch. Bill and Penny, great hosts, 200-300 people at least there. Was really good and good tour, a lot of history, 7 generations, same family. Really neat. Very rare in Arizona. They could be the oldest. They claim that there's possibly another one that's just a few days older, that's still owned by a family. Groundbreaking today. Really excited about that. That's a project that's going to last decades way past people remembering who we are. So that's a great thing. And also heading to Tucson. That's all.
Thank you, Steve. So thanks you guys for being there. I could not make it and I really wanted to go. That looked like a good time, so. Anyway, last Wednesday, we held a Zoom meeting with Nick Matea from Senator Kelly's office, Nick Bosworth, supervisor of the Tonto, Matt Pachorik, the Payson Ranger, and Jessica Shabelli to discuss the reversionary clause that we're kind of working on for the bill on the veterans site that'll go in those bills. Kicked things around, had some discussion. Jessica is helping us with that to write it out and whatnot. Kind of thought maybe we'd wait and kind of hold off just a little bit until after the election and see where the election's going. The election's right up on us, and so it's a good time just to step back just a little bit, continue working on the clause and see where we can put that in at, and then see what falls out in November. On Wednesday, I also participated on a workforce board meeting, and what it is, it's the workforce board between us and Navajo and Apache counties. And so we did vote to move the one-stop shop in Sholo, to the DES office in Pine Top. And so that's in motion, that'll take place. And then we're working on some other things there as well. Yesterday I was on KMOG, and that is it for me. Is there anything else you guys want to come up? James, you good? And we'll all be in Tucson the rest of the week, and I look forward to the bridge today. So thanks everyone for being here, and I'll adjourn the meeting.